Okay, final group, which is Krooswijk, Schuttersveld, or Shootersfield, as was introduced by Ruth. Eamon, I guess you are going to introduce a group, and then there's 20 minutes, and then all the time for Tony to react, and some questions. Okay, Eamon.
All right. Hi, everyone. I'm Eamon O'Connor. I'm a research assistant at the Just City Lab and an urban planning and public administration master's student at Harvard. It's been a real treat to work with this diverse group this week. Diane, Mauricio, Bregas, and Nadia, and they're going to introduce themselves with a little bit more tasteful detail, and I'll let them kick off their findings and vision for the future for this really exciting neighborhood in Rotterdam.
So, hello. And welcome to our edition of the Just City Restaurant, Krooswijk edition. And I will briefly guide you to the presentation we cooked up for you this week, which is a context, so some information about the area, the process of what we went through this week without all the emotional details. The concept, of course, we developed, and we'll conclude with some final remarks. And as a starting point, I would like to ask you to briefly close your eyes for a sec and imagine a type of meal, spice, or ingredient, any type of food that really sparks you, that just brings out good and happy associations, and that does something good for you. Okay. This is the team, and this is where we're from. And we also asked ourselves the same question. So this will be our means of a brief introduction. Bregas, what did you think of?
Well, I think something like rendang for Indonesian and also nasi goreng, something like that.
Okay, great. Thanks. Mauricio?
It's a Mexican stew called pozole, made of corn with beef or corn.
Great. Thanks so much. Diane?
I was thinking of pilau, which is a rice-based dish. So it's like a mixture of different spices and meat, and it's really
great. Even though I'm Dutch and I would expect myself to come up with something like the exciting flavor of cooked cabbage, I realized that actually what comes to mind is a summary of types of ingredients my teammates are describing. And that for me really resemble the area of Krooswijk, a combination of mixed flavors in all different sorts and forms. We looked at, on an information level, it's the past of Krooswijk, tried to gather knowledge about that. We visited the site to get an idea of the present situation there. And then as the week progressed, as designers, we thought about a step for the future. Krooswijk is a neighborhood of opportunities, a local history of entrepreneurship, a large-scale renovation project to improve housing quality, and assertive residents that stay on top of their rights and these developments. At the same time, the economic welfare level of the area is the lowest in the Netherlands, resulting in high rates and risks of poverty. Compared to the rest of Rotterdam, Krooswijk has relatively a lot of green spaces and a communal park, Schuttersveld, at the heart, connecting the surrounding parts of the neighborhood.
Yeah, hello, my name is Bregas, and I'm going to tell you about the context of our site. So, Krooswijk itself is divided into two. We have the new Krooswijk, which is located on the northern part, and Oud Krooswijk on the southern part. Based from the data that we have from Wix Profile, we found this data which is showing the indicator of physical, safety, and social. And we could see, even though like this neighborhood is basically twins, we could sound like that. But on the social part, we could see there are some differences that we could understand by looking at this color, which green is means like it's good, and yellow means it's not so good. And also, we would like also to see the population by the ethnic groups. This data that we got from Rotterdam Boots Monitor. So we could see on the old Krooswijk, we got this data of high non-indigenous population from Surinamese, Turks, and other non-Westerns. But on the new Krooswijk, we found data which is low on non-indigenous population, which is also quite amazing because they share the same park, they share the same area, but why is this happening? So, based on those ethnic groups, we could see these many local faces, but also so diverse in a way. So, and also local flavors in a way. And they're all cross-speakers. We have Moroccans, we have people from Suriname, and also the Dutch people itself. For process.
Hi. Thank you. I'm going to speak a little bit about the process. This is our trip to the Crossbeck area. This is Timon, our stakeholder, strategic stakeholder. He was very insightful with his comments. He's 4-year-old and he's very informed of what is happening in the area. He told us about the development, actually, that is true, and the new houses. And he called that part with the fence the desert. It's where he cannot play, so he identified as a barrier from the neighborhood. On the left we have street art, which is like fairly common in one part of the area, and now we have like the new, like the chic store, so we have like a very contrast. Of course, we're all in pro of diversity and multi-use, but there could be a gap, so we sense some tension in that and a lack of interaction. This is some more pictures of our tour and the first assessment we did. We can see the potential in some green areas, the importance of the place to be. This like sort of game arcade where a lot of youngsters went. And the diversity, which already Bregas has mentioned. We envision Just as a place we have inclusive facilities, green areas, and diversity with mixed use. On the contrast, on Just is in the sports area there were no women or girls playing, so it was only male. So we feel that was an issue we identified, as well as the lack of a roof on the tram station, which if you have in the Netherlands, you know it's important. So from these, we're identifying where are the places we would like to do our interventions, identifying that the amount of schools and regulations have certain potentials, and of course the easy access to transport, but you also have like a certain dispersion of shops. They lacking in some area, and there's uncertainty for the residents living in the old part. This part is yours. Thank you.
So yeah, this is my part, and basically what was clear to us when we went back to the studio and kind of discussed what we had observed and kind of debriefed was that there are a lot of opportunities and there's a lot of potential in the neighborhood, in spite of what the week's profile, I know I'm not saying it right, but yeah, in spite of what it shows, there are a lot of opportunities for a better community and a better society generally. So as part of the challenges to achieving that better situation, we found that high levels of unemployment were a major challenge. Obviously, if people aren't employed, then it means that the quality of life isn't as great as it could be. The increasing rent prices have a tendency to displace the original inhabitants as the place gets more and more developed. People with better income, or rather higher incomes, are displacing the original residents. And also, as we've seen before, the lack of integration between the old inhabitants and the new inhabitants, as well as the different ethnic groups, was a major challenge. But on the other hand, we do have a lot of opportunities. So we have the wide sidewalks, we have nice walkways. That's potential for expansion. There are a lot of vacant lots, and which can be used for gardening. The existence of long-term tenants means that there's a character and a history to the place. The youth is also like they have the energy and they bring like a vibrance to the area, and the diversity of ethnicities is also an opportunity for us. So that brings us to the concept. Which is basically based on the Just City Index and our kind of negotiations and the conversations that we had. Our vision is a just Crossweg, with community, belonging, diversity, and equity as our leading values. And our goal is to develop harmony in the community by encouraging positive interactions, because as we've noted before, there's not much interaction happening. So what can we do to improve the interactions in the neighborhood? So among the residents, in the heart of the neighborhood, and beyond.
And this is how we're going to do it. I would like to introduce to you the Just City menu for Crossweg. It is a phased approach, and it is a food-driven community building intervention. So after having the inventory of the challenges and opportunities, we decided to choose food as a vehicle. We all have to eat, and we all have to do it several times a day. So that's actually really nice. Also, in case of the situation with the risk of poverty, hunger is a serious topic also to bear in mind. So we assigned 3 phases, which we divided, just like a menu, with appetizers, the main course, and the dessert. And also in the corner, I think Eamon has some handouts if you want to get into it a bit more detailed, is our recommended drink of values. That is, of course, supporting and enforcing all of these actions. So we start with the human library soup. That's minimum 2 persons. The mixed community garden salad. And for the main course, we have the do-it-yourself stew with not-so-secret recipes. And the weekly special is a shared platter for minimum 6 persons. And as the dessert, we have the all-year treats from the market. What we, in a bird's eye view, mean by this is in phase 1, we will be collecting... Sorry? Yes. That'll be a knowledge inventory phase because of the broad diversity of the people, and we will be establishing a network of interconnecting and expanding the existing and potential community garden plots for also the actual growing of food. In the second phase, that's the knowledge sharing phase, where we can have cooking lessons or cooking sessions in people's houses and in a community kitchen where the recipes will be shared and also the food will be shared, and the establishment of a community kitchen to have a food providing area. And the last phase is a market. We are focusing right now on Schuttersveld. That's literally so the park area. Next to Schuttersveld, there are 2 vacant lots, 2 buildings that are empty right now, and that could become a place where we have like an indoor market and also a square in front to share food there outdoors. So our final phase will be the establishment of the market. Right now there are activities. You have King's Day, obviously, as this very nice example of people sharing food. And there is this new event, the Camping Crossweg, which is literally people camping out, but also sharing food on the Schuttersveld. These are temporal initiatives, and we want to make food sharing structural. So that's why the indoor market is also weatherproof and has the opportunity for the kitchen. We chose Schuttersveld as the central point. It is literally the center of this neighborhood, and also gives us the focus of having a concrete starting point. However, we do not see this as a one-way direction, so not from Schuttersveld into the neighborhood, but also having input from the neighborhood towards Schuttersveld. And because we are focusing on these 2 movements, we definitely see fuel for interaction, and that's, of course, what we are aiming for as well.
Thank you. Human library is a very beautiful concept in which people gather together, and each people has a story to share with the other. So we're gonna focus this human library on food and recipes, like telling your story towards your seasoning. So in that way you can foster community and understand each other's sense of identity, of culture, of heritage. So sharing that experience, we believe we foster the community and the character we already mentioned. Also, with all of the amount of the schools having place there, we believe that establishing a network of community gardens will allow not only food security, not only a form of leisure, but an integration for the community from different ages and ethnics and genders. So That would be one very big factor in what we're envisioning as a first stage of our project. This is the location of the Pro Community Garden, one of them, and well, this is our first our entree. Now we're gonna go with the main course. Yes.
Yeah. Sorry, it's okay. Okay, now for the main course. Well, we start with a do-it-yourself stew with not so secret recipes, of course. So we would like to have this cooking lesson, let's say from the immigrants itself, to have this experts hands-on experience together. So it's not only we know the food as an output, but also as a process itself. Because usually when we think about food, you only want to make us full. But no, it's not. We need the interactions during the process of making the food itself. So the cooking lesson itself could be like some kind of a melting pot of people from different ethnicities to be talked together to talk about the recipes. And well, I'm not using it like that way, I'm using this way. That's the first one. The second one is the community kitchen. It's not about the destination, it's about the journey. So yeah, after we cook together, we try to bring it together, put it on a park, and we eat it together. And then we discuss about the food. Is it too spicy for you? Yeah, it's a bit. Or is it too spicy for you? Yes, too much. So we could have these different opinions about the food. And I like this, I like that. Ooh, I cook it different like you. So this communication actually what propels us to get together. And the last one is progressive dinner. It's dinner on the move. So basically the idea and the core concept is to have like this host, which is trying to serve food in their home, and let's say both of us is going to, let's say, to A and to B to C, and we eat food together. And it's also trying to uncover their let's say culture in a way, to come to their home, knock, and eat together. So yeah, this is for the location. Of course, cooking lesson, maybe it's on her apartment upstairs there, and the community kitchen, we could do it together on this park, which is going to be kitchen. Thank you.
So, the last part is the dessert, which is the building out the intervention. So this is locating all these activities in a space, and as Nadia mentioned, they're abandoned buildings close to the site, so we'd like to take advantage of those, perhaps convert them into some sort of ownership scheme for the residents of the area in order to generate some sort of, not necessarily profit, but the revenue can be used to improve the neighborhood and to improve lives within the context. So the first thing we'd like to do is maybe improve the general conditions of the street. Yeah, and kind of make it more accessible for everyone, and then ultimately at the abandoned building, that's where we'll build up a market, which can serve a multitude of uses. There could be retail. It could also host kind of conventions or like cooking lessons and the community kitchen once in a while. So yeah, outside of that building, we could have the outdoor plaza, which would be nice to in the good weather, where people can interact. It can also form like a transitional space, creating spaces for interaction, just informal places to meet people, and yeah, just have a good time. Then also the market hall itself will be hosted within the abandoned building. Yeah.
Some final remarks is our food for thought. By focusing on food as a vehicle for interconnecting the different stakeholders in Krooswijk, we envision a neighborhood with a strong identity, proud of their history and their current diversity as well as their possible future. Developing alternatives for local business while encouraging participation of different ages will contribute to the character and equity of the Krooswijk area. We would like to thank the people mentioned on the slide here and Veldacademie and AIR for having the masterclass this week that we could participate in. And also, thank you to all you guys for paying attention to our Just City menu, the Krooswijk edition. Bon appetit.
Boss said I can say one thing, and then maybe there's another question or two. So, again, this way in which you have honed in on the diversity of this neighborhood as a kind of microcosm for the diversity of the city, which is over 170 different nationalities, right? But it's interesting that we can be diverse by the numbers and even proximity, but still not know one another. And so you've honed in on that and said, well, I want to go a step further. How do we get people to actually know one another? So we're building tolerance, empathy, social capital, a caring for one another. And as you say, and I think as designers, we are always thinking it has to be something physical. You have honed in on a certain set of needs and use that as the driving inspiration for a program and physical intervention, and that's food. And what I like about this is all the different ways that you've showed us how food consumption, food production, food retail, all can be this ecosystem within one neighborhood. How you produce food through the garden, how you learn how to use food through the various kitchens, how you learn how to share food and sell food, perhaps. Because we talked about, let's find a revenue stream to keep this great idea going. So maybe in the market, some of the growers are canning and drying their own foods, and people can sell them, and those revenues can go back into supporting all this. So this really lovely ecosystem that you created, I think, is a really great response to how do we become more than just a city of diverse inhabitants, but how do we become a city of engaged, diverse inhabitants? And so I like how you all have illustrated this through your very sensory-oriented presentation this afternoon. So thank you for that. So, Boss, were you going to take one or a few remarks, or are we wrapping up and we're going to do maybe all of that at the end? What do you want to do?
Sorry, doing wrong myself. So we decided on that we would wrap up today in a final talk with you, and I think it's the best place for in-depth questions.
Okay.
So that we'll do that an hour after the lunch. But perhaps there are one or two now that are really burning and people perhaps have to leave. So I'll just take, if there's anybody who says, I want to pose a question now, all the others can hold it back and then we'll talk about Rotterdam what we can take from these presentations later on. So, yeah, it's one.
Thank you. Hi, I have a question. I enjoyed the presentation, and I think the taking food as a common denominator for development of cities is a great thing to do. It's not new. I've seen it done in many places in Amsterdam. I've seen it in France, in many, and it works. So it's a great tool to use. However, I wonder whether you have thought about why is it relevant to involve the people through the food? Why would it be interesting for people to get into this food community program? What's in it for them? Is it you've talked about the inequality in the neighborhood, the lack of integration? Why is it important to solve that? By eating together, they're not gonna per se directly resolve the inequality in incomes, for instance, or their life. I have my opinions about why is it important, but I'm curious about whether you have thought about it. Why would it be relevant? How would you convince people to participate?
Yeah. So why is it relevant, right, for them? Okay.
Okay.
You're so polite. You just.
When I was listening to you, I kind of see three levels going on in response. That is, indeed, we are not able to provide income, but I think to have hunger in 2018 in Rotterdam is insane. So for the people that are having very little means, it is the basic need, that's food. So that is, I see that as an urgent element. The second, from a planning level, is if you see a map of the area, is that there is a shopping street that is seen as a central shopping street. and quite like a vacant shop-free area. And then there are the new Krooswijk houses. And I saw in one of the mission statements that they want to have more points where there is food available in this area, because they see that it's lacking now. And by using the Krooswijk area, we are already sort of making a small bridge, of migrating already in this, well, an area that has less food available for the residents. That's the second one. And let me think, if you guys feel like hopping in.
We could not change the policy regarding the housing, so when people we got information that some people do not have jobs and depend on social welfare. So when they get a job, they have to leave the area because of the changing of the policy and the housing. So providing a food security allowed us not only to have a better livelihood without the economical dependence, they can also enhance the community social fabric. So it has those two aspects, which extend the community without within our realm of action.
If I could just add a little, you can't necessarily design social interaction. You can't necessarily force people to interact. What you can do is give them opportunities for them to interact. So it's not just in the consumption of the food that people are going to interact. There's also the process of the production, and there's the process of just the retail. And even in the consumption part, there's the motivation to participate for someone who maybe perhaps is not so well off, would be that you can get a little bit of an income. And for the motivation, hopefully, for someone who is consuming is that you have an opportunity to gain something, like materially, or even gain an experience, or it's just something that is different from what is the norm. So that's how I see it. So, oh, sorry, there's that. You remembered it? Here you go.
It's Schuttersveld. Schuttersveld is completely assigned to sports now, which is nice and important. We saw no women there. So food is physical, tangible, but we can also use it as a tool for a broader group of people to reclaim the space and feel comfortable in Schuttersveld. Apparently, for some reasons, it is not optimally used by everybody. So that would mean using it as a vehicle as well. That was the third layer I'd like to address.
Perhaps. Okay, you could finish up. Yeah.
Sorry. 30 seconds. So, well, let's say for the unemployed people, maybe if we see this as a community project, we would like them, let's say, to participate, because if we could try to get them together, it gives them like a sense of means to be together in the community, like a sense of why am I even here, like, and also like I am belong here. So therefore I hope well, that's the idea. Sorry, it's just zone out a bit. Sorry. Yeah.
There's been hard work done, right?
I think it's slipped.
Just one question, Tony, in support of the answers, because Roy Kurt, you're working on the City in Balanced program for the municipality of Rotterdam, and bridging and bonding, which is perhaps, and belonging, is perhaps the essence of the answers, is essential backbone to your policy. So please, some support for the answer.
Some support. Well, it's a very difficult to explain, but I think if people are too far away from each other, there's kind of social tension in society, which is very destructive for society as a whole. So you have to find some way for people to live together and to meet, and there are all different kinds of possibilities to meet. And I think it's very good in all the presentations to see that there are all kind of means to let people do something together, because just in another way, say people have to meet because there is room. It's not working. I think the people in Crossweg perhaps are who were born there, see the people who came living there in the 80s as a worker from South Europe or farther away. They see these people still as the new people. And they live there 30 years now. So we have to do something to let the people do something together. So this would be a good idea to try, I think.
So we won't resolve the poverty issues, but we will bridge and bond, which is very important. Yeah. So Tony, you want to add something about the cards that are on these?
So let's give all the students one last final round.